So for today's video, I got the transmission out, ready to give it a good scrub down, wash. And then I'm gonna take it to a specialist where they're gonna repair it. I could do it myself, but I don't wanna mess it up and then take it to them and them have to start from scratch. Just needs a cleaning. As far as this transmission goes, it slips out of first gear and it has no fifth gear at all. Then here I have the harness. I'm gonna double check the continuity, make sure everything's plugged in right, so when it hits the ECU, I know with confidence that these wires are working. Nothing should be wrong with the ECU. ECU is pretty tucked away. And then I'm gonna start taking this block apart, starting with the water piping, take the oil pan out, see what kind of damage we got. If there's any damage, that'll give me a good idea how the pistons are. So.
And that last girl, I mean, her purpose, what she said for her purpose in life is to try to be like Christ. Very insightful stuff that you were.
So I know last time I didn't have this. It's the ultrasonic cleaner, and it's done great job so far. I wish I had before and after of these fuel injectors, but look how clean this is. It looks almost brand new. And I soaked it with the super clean. Stuff works great. They were filthy. Look at the engine block, how black and just covered with oil and grease and dirt. That's how the fuel injectors looked. And so I cleaned this side. Didn't clean this side. Actually, no, I did clean this side. It was better not cleaned because the oil kind of protected it. Anyways, working on that right there. Engine block is almost completely disassembled. I need to take the oil pump out just to clean it, put it back on. This, I want to replace all the valve springs. The valves themselves, I don't want to mess with these. These are a little bit harder to just change out. So clean the outside as best as I can. But I'm just going to leave them in there. Probably repaint this to a red TRD. That's about it. That's the update. And that's my dog going crazy. So one thing I found out when I took off the engine or the oil pump, engine oil pump, discovered there is a crack right here. So that could explain the leakage for how dirty this pump is. Most likely, see how dirty it is. It's all from leaking. So I'm gonna order a new oil pump. That should solve one of the issues. And right now I'm cleaning it with this new grinder I got. I thought it would be quieter to use this than to get an air compressor, because I do have air tools, smaller, but I think everyone's going electric anyways, so I'd rather use this. So
these pipes are clean. And how?
all right, right here I'm hammering tape to make these clean edges right here. Just using a roller to get it nice and flat and for it to adhere to the flat surface. And then I just use a hammer to hit the edges and the tape will cut itself off. And then I'm going to do this to the entire block, get it ready for paint.
The dish is on the back, but what that gives you, it kind of like sharpens you.
What's up, everybody? Good news is I got parts in other week. Got my pistons, head bolts, engine bearings, some more components, the oil pump, all the seals. So I don't know if I showed you guys the engine got painted. So now I'm just gonna start replacing these seal bearings. Let's do it. Just wanted to show you guys. I went to remove this seal because I want to replace it. See how nice and soft seals are supposed to be. So I took this one off. It was right here, and you can tell how brittle it is. Basically plastic. Look at that, it just broke apart. So very important for the fuel filter. Replace this gasket, seal, whatever you want to call it. Part number is right here, but this washer also needs to be replaced, which I have one right here. Part number for this is right here as well. So replace those two parts. That way you don't get a leak. Very important. But before I install the seal and filter nice and clean, as you can see, I need to clean that out as well. But just heads up. Sorry about that, I'm tired. Alright, so I'm gonna repaint the engine block I'm not a fan of the gray slash aluminum. It doesn't look as aluminum as what I thought it would. So got some Wrinkle Plus VHT high temp paint. It's gonna give it the OEM wrinkle effect, and it's gonna be black. And if it doesn't come out as black as I want it, I'll probably just get another pan of paint. But once the new ones go in, it's gonna look really nice. More to come.
And there's no secret to this. Anybody can paint. Anybody can paint. All you need is a dream in your heart, a little practice.
So I was installing these new block caps, and I was struggling at first because I was using the old-fashioned wooden block and mallet. So it was the mallet I was using. It's a good way to start it, but what really helped was this air tool. It's a rivet gun slash with a hammer tip, copper brass hammer tip. Now this thing works great. If you're not familiar with what this does, that is what helped me install these things. Really, really easy. Alright, I got the old engine pump sitting on the table. As you can see, there's a crack right there. That's probably where all the oil was coming from. When I got the car, it was just caked in oil. So I need to take this assembly off, install it on the new one. As you can see, everything looks just like the old one, just brand new. And so it looks like I already have the seal here, seal there, and then this has a seal as well with the bearing. That's where the pump is enclosed, and so need this sprocket right here. Shouldn't be too hard to take off. I do have a kit with other seals, but I think I'm just gonna leave these with the part. So I didn't even bother cleaning this old one because I knew I was going to replace it with a new one anyways. So go ahead and remove this, put it on that one, and then I'll be able to put it on the engine block. Here is the engine block, how it sits right now. Got everything cleaned, painted, got the new piston rings installed, new freeze plugs in, and that's where I'm at. Use a magnet.
Throw out bearings so we can have ourselves a manual transmission. To install our master cylinder.
Spring. Pretty bad. See how bad that is?
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
So that it can be lined up.
Alright, I found another issue taking this motor apart. Once you remove the valve springs, there's these little caps, or I guess a seal that you could call it. So on top of this little circle, there's another little spring, like a gasket. So the old one is still here, and it's just burnt up. And instead of just cleaning this, taking the old one off, here's the spring, tiny little spring. It's like a little washer slash gasket. They just threw it on top, and you see it just sits all crooked. And so that's another issue I just found with this motor. So I'll be replacing these, getting new springs. And just an example, one of your valves slides in that way, you know, with the engine block right here. And so I guess it's supposed to hold a little bit of a seal, maybe as it moves. Not really sure exactly what the function is, but I know that is not how it's supposed to be. So upon taking this apart, if it lets me zoom in, oh, see that there's a plastic seal that goes around that housing, and it is completely rotten. It just broke apart right there. So one more thing to replace. All right, here I have the cylinder head all cleaned up, as clean as I could get it. I used my parts cleaner over here. This thing got destroyed. If you saw it before, it's completely black. So that's where we're at with that. Took all these little washers out. They stayed on for the majority of the time until I cleaned it, and then they were able to come out real easy. I'm not going to use the same valves. These are cleaned, and obviously they're not. So that's as good as I could get them. So I'm going with new valves. So because I'm getting new valves, I have to lap the valves into these, I guess, ports you would call it. So this is the intake side, obviously pretty clean. Exhaust side is as clean as I could get it. I went in there and took a scribe and chipped away the carbon that's all been built up in there. So that's as good as it's gonna get. All right, this is day 3, I think, working on this engine harness. So a lot of this stuff I ordered from Amazon. This tape, it's that fabric tape, highly recommended. So it's X Fasten. It looks like there's a TikTok, Instagram, X branding on it, so good marketing. But this stuff works great when wrapping harnesses. So when I was cleaning the harness, I noticed this area has some chafing. So I just cut the wire and spliced it with brand new splices. Use these right here. They're kind of like solder splices. All you do is heat them up till the solder melts. I'll take some, here's an example. Here's a big one for a larger gauge. But that middle metal piece solidifies and then melts onto the wire. And so when it cools down, it's one whole piece. And then the yellow pieces are the environmental seals. So those melt like plastic, and it keeps water and debris getting into your wire. You can leave them like that. I like to still put heat shrink over it for added security and protection. So this is the marine style heat shrink. So it's sticky on the inside, so it adheres a lot better and doesn't slide off when it's applied. But good thing I went over the harness instead of just throwing it back on. Not only am I finding repairs, I'm also rewrapping it in that tape that I showed you to make it look a lot nicer. So you have this foam pad right here. I'm not sure what it's for, but there's a foam piece right here, wrapped it in tape. I'm just going down the line. These are the fuel injector plugs. I had replaced these before. They're in bad shape. These are brand new ones. So as I'm going along, I'm also replacing the plugs to brand new plugs. And all you do, they come in pigtails, and then you just splice them together. These, I didn't cut down to size, so I just did a loop and then just zip tied it. Probably I could have cut them shorter, but screw it. Just in case I mess up, I have a service loop to redo it, but I don't think it looks that bad. Taking the plastic cover off this harness. Some of them, the clips broke, but I'm not too worried about it. This one I was able to save. This one right here, also the bottom. This thing is so old that they just started cracking apart. So I'm just gonna salvage what I can just to keep the form of the harness, and it helps with the routing. But other than that, I'm just gonna tape the bottom or tape it around and protect the wire that way. I have a little more to go with this harness. I'm gonna be ringing it out with the multimeter. So I'm gonna make sure it rings out well. All the connectors I'm getting a signal to where it's supposed to go to the ECU. I haven't looked at the schematic yet, but shouldn't be too hard. The only one I'm worried about is O2 sensors. They don't really give a loop signal back. So it's a weird way to check those, I think. So, and then there's also these 2 wires. Whoops, let's see if I can. All right, so there's these 2 wires right here that came off the harness that I do not know what they plug into. Whoever had the car before me did some weird things with this harness. So I need to find out where these are going to. It looks like they taped one end, so that's probably a ground. But I don't know if this is a sensor or something else. So you see this plug right here. This is the O2 sensor. Yep, top one. And look how burnt up that thing is. I don't know how they managed to do that. It's just a sensor. Anyways, so this harness needs some love. I'll show you an after once I'm done. My plan is to take my time and get this thing looking as good as possible. But keep checking out the channel or checking out my progress. It's not like a race car, but it is a good beginning car, I think. Especially I've never done an engine repair or never done an overhaul like this before. I want to just slap it on, but in the same breath, I want to restore this car. I don't know why. I love Celicas. I've always liked them. But I'll keep you all updated. Peace. What's going on, y'all? All right, so valves have been lapped. Gotta flip this block around, flip it, and then I'm gonna start installing. I need to start with some washers. I got these valve stem seals that need to go on. They're gonna help hold the valves, the intake and exhaust valves in when I go to install the valve springs. And I did order some new retainer clips, but I did not do my math right. I only got half of them. So I'm just gonna go ahead, reuse the valve locks that I have from the old one. I'm gonna clean them up, and I'm just gonna pick the best ones out of all of them. So that's gonna solve that issue. Let's see, tempted to clean them, but when I ordered some parts from Toyota, I actually got some brand new ones. They weren't that expensive. If I could find them, here they are. So here's the part number. So these washers go, I'll show you when I install them, but I'll show you when I install those. All right, let's get to it. First off, I'm gonna tape this to keep the valves from falling. But as you can see, I lapped them, and I did the leak check, and they're pretty flush, loose. This is without oil, so I'm gonna oil them up. Everything is ready when everything else is ready to get installed. But as you can see, they are very slick. All right, so I got the valve seals installed. All I did was I got this 10 mil. They fit right on there, pretty easy. And then you just press them lightly on top. They'll just snap in, very light snap. Doesn't take much, doesn't need much pressure. Cram them in. Those little springs that are wrapped around the seals, fragile, so be careful with them. Here is a current video, or updated video of installing the camshafts. So I've gone as far as installing the intake camshaft. So what I did is I placed the camshaft on here where it just sits. Timing is not set yet. So as you can see, there's focuses. This little pin right here lines up with this top pin, with this, whatever you call this retainer. It's the part that goes up here to hold the camshaft in. So it lines up with this top one, but I'm going to have to turn it about to the 11 o'clock position, counterclockwise, once I torque down all the bearing caps, if that makes sense. So by itself, because of the lobes, it will not sit to where I need it as of yet. So you have to torque these down. They're 16 foot-pounds. And then you could get a wrench, which I have right here, is 15/16. And right here in between the camshaft, you'll see a hexagon shape designed for a wrench. That way I'll go ahead and turn it counterclockwise as if you're looking at it this way. And that's going to position this mark right here. There's a little dot. It's going to pull it up when I turn it counterclockwise. And that's going to position it where I could install my exhaust camshaft. Now, if you notice my exhaust camshaft, I have a service bolt in it. That's because this piece right here is spring loaded. And again, I had to do the same thing. I got the vise, installed there's a threaded side of this camshaft right here where you could start the bolt to go in. And then once you get it started, you have to get another bolt up here, and then you grab a screwdriver. Screwdriver didn't work for me, so I got a pry bar, and that allowed me to turn this clockwise. And this is spring loaded to where you could finish installing the service bolt all the way through this hole. So this side is threaded, this side is not. So once I get this installed, once I get to the point to install this exhaust cam, it's gonna lock in place with this because it's spring loaded, right? So this is gonna go basically, I have to remove all these bearings. I just have them in place so I don't lose track of where they go. But this is gonna sit in here, and you see how it'll fit right in place, right? And then once I remove that service bolt, it's gonna lock it in place because again, this is spring loaded. You can see the two halves. So I hope that explains it. I'll try and get a video of me actually doing it, but I don't have my GoPro set up right now. But I hope I explained this. Right now I'm in the middle of torquing these bolts down, that way I could spin this counterclockwise in order, because I'm gonna have this dot right here is gonna line up with there's two dots on this one, as you can see it. So once I install this, depends on to look at it, it's probably this right here. This is gonna be my marking. This is probably gonna lay like this, and then I'm gonna have to turn it toward the bottom when that timing indicator, it lines up with this dot right here. So I'll explain it more once I get to that point. All right, you guys, I got it installed. All right, so basically what I had to do is I already had the intake camshaft installed and torqued. So that's easy because it's not fighting anything. On the other hand, the exhaust camshaft, you're fighting the intake one once you align them with the timing. So if you can see, let me grab a little screwdriver here. All right, so I don't know if you can see that, but there's two dots, one here, one on the other side. So the intake one is on the spike end of the lobe, and then on the exhaust side, the dot is on the recessed. So you're gonna have the dots align with each other, and then there's another set of dots up here. Same thing on the lower half of the lobe, it's this dot, and then on the pointy end, the dot is on this one. So when I turn this, again, wrench on the intake side, when I turn this down, it's hard with two. So see how it turns? Crap. Maybe this side. It's really hard to do it with one hand. All right, let's see. I can't do this with one hand. Hold on, one sec. All right, so I'm gonna turn this. There we go. So turns pretty easy. It's on a works table. So now the top two dots align with each other. So cool. All right, so I'm gonna reset, put this back to where the other dots meet. Boom, just like that. This pin is aligned with this top pin. So as far as timing goes, the dots line up, but we're not done there because we still need the timing belt and all of that, everything to line up. So these are not, well, I don't know yet, I haven't checked, but these need to be top dead center. 1 and 4 need to be top dead center because that's what my cylinders are sitting at right now. So top dead center. So when I go put the cylinder head on top of my block, these lobes or say the valve caps need to be top dead center. Whereas 2 and 3 have to be bottom, the opposite of top dead center, because they are at the very bottom right now. And that is how timing works, y'all. So, all right, so to explain how I installed this exhaust when it's fighting the intake camshaft is basically when I first installed, and you'll get it once you put the intake camshaft on, it's gonna lay, in order to put the bearing caps on, it's gonna lay flat on the bottom, and it's gonna lay as, you know, to where all the lobes are facing either up or sideways, just like this one, to where they're not pressing down on the caps. So it's gonna lay flush, and the best way to explain it is this little piece right here is gonna be straight up, aligned with this little marking here. That's how it naturally lays. Right now I have it turned, so these valves are pushing down on those caps, and everything's spring loaded, so once the caps go on, they just set in, right? So it's gonna lay down where this piece right here, this little button, is gonna be lining up with that. That's how it naturally lays down. So once you get these bearing caps installed, then you can turn it with the wrench without the exhaust. It's just gonna turn without fighting you. It's just gonna fight the valve caps pushing down on these lobes. So once you could turn it to where this pin is lined up with this notch up top, 12 o'clock. That's how I installed the exhaust. Now the exhaust doesn't lay naturally this way, so I had to turn it until the exhaust camshaft did lay somewhat natural. It wasn't 100%, but to where the back laid flat. And so what I did is I slowly started installing these bearing caps to where it loose. Some screws were loose and I could do it by hand until I just got a little 10 mil socket, and then I just turned them without stressing. It's gonna take a little bit of time and patience, but you just slowly set them in. And then at the same time, once you set them all in and they're all tight, you get the wrench, and then you just do this until it's loosened some, and then you go back and go down basically slowly. So you'll wiggle this intake to where it moves this. It'll mostly, you want it to turn it clockwise to where it's starting to turn this down, and it's gonna slowly push your camshaft down where so these screws will get looser and looser until they're installed flush. So I hope that explains it very well. Sorry for it's hard to explain things. I'm not much of a teacher, but you did it how I know I did it right. So everything's torqued down. Service bolt, right? The one that you're supposed to install to make sure this locks in with this. Well, once you're done torquing everything out, this comes right out. It is lined up perfect. So there's no, I don't even need a tool to take it out. Remember, this thing was spring loaded before, so there's no way I could have done that if this wasn't done right. So that's how it's done right, when you can remove your service bolt without any tools. And your timing marks are lined up when you go to turn it. All right, so my next step is to make sure everything is in the right position for when I installed it on the block for timing. Because what I think this indicator right here should be up top is my guess. But I will find out if that is top dead center for 1 and 4. That way it matches the block. So, all right, till the next video.
What's up, YouTubers? Tomorrow's the day I install the engine. This is its assembly. So basically it's at a good point where I can install. This is the final product after I put it all together, cleaned it up, did some painting on it, changed it up a bit. Only thing left is vacuum lines. Got the throttle body here, and it's ready to go in. Tomorrow's the day. I'm just gonna put the engine in, get it mounted. I won't start it tomorrow, at least I don't think I will, but if I work on it throughout the week, I'm definitely gonna try and get it started next weekend. So I got brand new timing belt cover, 2 rotations of the crank, and everything lines up. So the timing is dialed in. I even got the, I think, power steering or power steering pump installed, nice and tight, and we're gonna knock that out first thing in the morning. Of course, the clutch flywheel will get on there before I put the transmission. And before I start it, I'm going to get the axles installed, brakes installed, wheels installed. That way I can see if the wheels turn and everything shifts right, obviously, before I drive it. So stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. But this is the final result. This is what my engine is going to look like once it's installed on the Celica. Can't wait.
Chrome heart, ain't no diamonds. Be thrown on a hoodie, perfect timing. Okay. Phone screen bright, see the digits. Check it. It's a joyride, but we really handle business. I'ma show you how we do it. Go. Left hand grip, right hand guide. Gas pedal down through the city, we glide. Basically, I'm saying tonight we on a ride. Can't let this chance ride. Don't you wanna?